All right, so we are starting 2.3. Go ahead and open up that same spreadsheet we had yesterday. Go ahead and go into Canvas. And here, I'll share my screen. All right. On the bottom, you got your in-class worksheets. And we'll go to 2.2. All right. Oh, there's a couple of things that I didn't really talk about yesterday. Oh, I thought this was the right one. Well, that's all right. The one thing that I don't think I emphasized very much yesterday, when you're creating your histograms, what are the four things that make them different from bar graphs? Do you guys remember?
They touch.
Bars touch.
The categories are numeric.
Categories are numeric. Now, by the way, I forgot to mention this, okay? There is a histogram maker, and it does a lousy job in Excel. I don't want you to use it. I know it's there. If you use it, I'm not going to give you full credit, okay? So I want you to do these manually because I think they look better. So numeric categories, you have to make them notes. I think I gave you 3 things, but I'm going to give you 4. What?
I mean, you told us like 5 to 7 categories.
Yeah, 5 to 7 categories. That'll be yeah. You can have more than that, but for our class, that's probably where we'll go. There was another one. Equal sized groups. Okay. So they all need to be equally sized, and I'll give you a 5th one here. The groups don't overlap. Okay. So that's a big one. So you don't want to go 50 to 60, 60 to 70, 70 to 80, because what happens to 60? Which group does it go in? It's hard to tell, right? Okay. So if you're going to do something like this, why don't you go 50 to 59, 60 to 69, 70 to 79. Okay. So make sure they don't overlap. Okay. Another thing that I wanted to mention here really quickly, if you look at there, we've got gas mileage on 2008 sedans. Okay. So let's talk about a stem plot, or it's also called a stem and leaf plot. Okay. You can think of it as a text histogram. Okay. So this data here that I've got on my spreadsheet, it looks like it goes from 15 to 32. Okay. Now, this is really nice for when you want to, like back in the old days before they had computers. Now we have computers, nobody makes stem and leaf plots, except in statistics classes, just to show you what they are. So the idea here is I'm going to put the 10s, the 20s, and the 30s. I'm going to draw a line like that, okay? This is more likely going to be a paper question than a computer question. I can show you how to do it both ways, but as we look at my data here, I think in the book they sort it. I don't care if you guys sort it, especially if you're doing it on paper. So I've got 24, 15, 26, 24, 26, 26, 30, 31, 31, 25, 23, 22, 31, and 32. Okay? All right, so there you go. That's a stem plot or a stem and leaf plot. The idea here is you can think of it as a histogram kind of on the side. Okay? And I know we kind of rushed through yesterday. Remind me, if you see a graph that looks something like that, which way is it skewed?
Right.
Left.
I think we got it, yeah. So here's the idea. Take it from the peak. Which tail is bigger?
Left.
This is the left, so this would be left skewed. Okay, does that make sense? This would be
Right.
right skewed. This would be
Symmetric.
symmetric. This would be
Uniform.
uniform. And here I'll go, well, there we go. And this would be bimodal. Okay? So as we look at this, if you turn your head like this, is that skewed? And if so, which way?
Skewed left.
So you turn your head this way. Is it skewed left or skewed right?
Right.
And you're going to rotate it this way. It'll be right skewed. Because this side is your bigger tail, right? It's on the right side. You go from lowest to highest here. That makes sense? Yes.
But if you said if the tail is bigger on the right, then it's skewed left.
No, that's not.
There's more data on the right side than there is on the left. So that's right skewed. Okay? That makes sense? All right. Okay, so talk a little bit about line graphs. Line graphs are used for time data. Basically, you track it over time, okay? So I'm just going to make up some data. Oh, you know what? Was I sharing? I don't know what I was doing. I'm sharing right now, aren't I? Okay. Now I'm sharing. Okay, so I need to enable editing here. Okay, so let's say I wanted to track milk prices. Okay, so I've got January 2017, February 2017. Now here's one of the cool things when it actually puts dates that you like here. If you put your mouse right on the corner here, you can drag that down and it'll count for you all the way through December. Isn't that nice? Okay, so you've got your date, and then you got your price, and then you got 205, 210, 215, 222, 221.
You can make that bigger.
Yeah, 230. 245, 250, 244, 237, 220, I don't know, I'm just making it up. Okay, so let's say these were gas prices over the year. Okay, so let's pick on, how about Britain? Do you have any idea how you'd create a line graph for this?
I would go to like
Insert.
click on the recommended chart.
Okay, so you could click on the recommended charts. Sometimes that takes you in the wrong place. But the first thing you need to do is make sure that you select your data first. Okay? And you've got here, this one right here, that's going to be your line chart. That's a little bit quicker way. You can just do the 2D line chart. Okay? Now, one of my favorite things to do is to ask somebody like Ashley, can you describe, well, first of all, we got to label it. Actually, let's have Britton finish. Can you tell me how to make this chart look better?
Yeah, I would first I would change like the label at the top, by clicking on it.
Okay.
Cracked milk prices over the course of the year.
Milk prices. Okay.
And I would click on the plus.
Click on the plus.
And I would list my own.
Access titles.
Oh, and then I make that one like price in dollars, and then make
Price in dollars. And then what?
bottom one time of year.
Time of year. Okay. All right. Now we'll go to Ashley. Can you describe that, the graph?
I don't know. Would it be the bimodal?
Okay. So when we're talking about all this stuff, bimodal skewed, this only applies to histograms. Okay, so you wouldn't want to say that this graph is skewed. Even though it kind of looks like it, right? If this were a histogram, it would be skewed which way? To the peak, right? Which has a bigger tail? The left side. So if that was a histogram, you'd probably say it was less skewed, but it's not a histogram. So these terms don't apply. What I would say is you've got a general upward trend between January and about August, and then it declines after that. You got a peak at January, in August, I mean. Does that make sense? Okay. So so only use these terms when you're talking about histograms. Don't use them when you're talking about a line graph. Okay? All right, now one of the things that we can do is we could distort the scale. Oh, actually two things. Now, by the way, since this is in dollars, I could click on the dollar sign here. And the nice thing about that is, now look at that. Now it's clear that the price is in dollars, right? Okay, so that changed that. Another thing that you should avoid doing, so a lot of times you should start your vertical axis at zero. Now watch this. What if I changed it to $2? Okay. Now you could say, oh, look at this. We had a sharp increase from January to August, and then a sharp decrease from August to December. Okay. Now that's a good way to distort your data. Okay. Oh, I have to show you this. Oh, I don't believe I don't have this, but here, I'm going to just look for it on Google.
So that's a bad thing to do.
Yeah, it's a bad thing to do. Now, Jason Chaffetz. Version F. Okay, so this was our illustrious senator or congressman, Jason Chaffetz. Okay. This was very interesting. This is actually an actual chart that he used in a congressional hearing, and it says abortions are up, life-saving procedures are down. What do you think of this graph? Is this a good graph or a bad graph? Bad graph because confusing. Why is it confusing?
It's not showing us actual data. It's just kind of saying it's going up. It's not really giving us Like the actual values.
It's not giving us, well, they got actual values on there, right? Yes?
I can't see that bottom right number very well, but it looks back here like we're on different scales.
On different scales. Did you all know that 327,000 is clearly much greater than 935,000, right? Everybody agree with that? There's no vertical axis here, right? 2 million is greater than 289,000, and then 327,000 somehow is magically greater than 935,000, right? He actually used this. Okay? So this is a terrible graph that he used. Now, if he had used it properly and if he had scaled it, that's what it would have looked like. Okay? Abortions are flat. Yeah, they've increased a little bit. Cancer screening and other services have gone down. But that's what a non-distorted graph would look like. Why do you think he used the first graph?
To make it look like there were more abortions.
To make it look like there were more abortions, right? And really, abortions are pretty flat, right? Now, here's another thing. If you actually listen to the video, there's a video that goes along with this. Another way to distort things, and in fact, it was Cecily, I can't remember, Richards, I think her name was, from Texas, that he was interviewing during this congressional hearing. And basically, he blindsided her with the graph. She'd never seen it before. And she said, I've never seen this before. But she said, oh, that Americans United for Life, that's an anti-abortion group. She said, I would check your source. Okay? So you can see why an anti-abortion group would try to inflate, make the abortion look like they were going up. And the cancer screening is going down. We need to get rid of Planned Parenthood because they're doing more abortions and they're doing fewer cancer screenings. That was the idea, right? What a waste of an organization, right? That's what Jason Chaffetz was trying to say. Now, my question to you, let's look at the correct, a better looking graph here. Why are cancer screenings going down at Planned Parenthood? Anybody know?
Less people were smoking or searching to vapes.
Well,
Insurance.
if I had
People were
cancer, I
smoking.
wouldn't think to go to Planned Parenthood, personally.
More people are insured.
Like I would,
Well, you wouldn't, so the people who are going, these are cancer screenings, so you wouldn't know that you had cancer. And it has nothing to do with smoking, by the way, because that affects men too. Planned Parenthood, well, I shouldn't say this is only for men, but Planned Parenthood is primarily a women's clinic. Although men can go there too, but why are the cancer screenings going down? Okay, so I'll tell you why. So, the American Medical Association, they tell women, feel your breasts, see if you find any lumps. And the problem was women would feel their breasts, and they would say, ooh, I got a lump there, better go to the doctor. The doctor would say, yeah, let's cut that thing off. You might have cancer. And they didn't have cancer. The American Medical Association just basically said, you know what? We don't need to keep doing this. We're cutting off perfectly healthy breasts. And we're basically maiming women and we're not catching very much cancer. So the Planned Parenthood followed the recommendations and said, yeah, don't do so many breast exams. So there was actually a legitimate medical reason for why that was. Okay? So once again, check your source. Okay? This is what it should have looked like. I think I've seen a few other ones. Yeah, this is how you score political points. You distort your graph. So it's very important when you're doing this that generally, number one, have a scale here. There's no scale here. So if you're going to put a scale here, generally you should start it at 0. Okay? I'm talking about the vertical scale. Okay? Now, another thing that you should avoid are pictograms or pictographs. Okay? So these are really cute, aren't they? Isn't that nice? I have to tell you, I was teaching a math for elementary school teachers, and they have about 2 chapters on statistics. And in that book, it actually says create pictograms, because it's really, and maybe it's good for little kids, but you guys aren't little kids. Okay? The problem is you got 2.5 apples there, right? It can distort your data, or I like this one here. The bananas are bigger than the apples and they're bigger than the cherries, okay? Those should all be equally sized. Okay, very cute, okay? I might have said this yesterday, but I'm going to emphasize this again, no 3D graphs, okay? We only use 2D because the 3D graphs distort your data. Let's do that again here. Okay, it looks pretty cool though, right? But look, that blue is being hidden behind the green, right? Don't ever do that. And even something like this, yeah, it looks cool. It's very artistic, but it's really hard to tell. Is that yellow bar the same as that yellow bar? It's kind of hard to tell, right? Because it's on an angle. If they had done that in 2D, it would be much easier to tell. So stay away from 3D graphs. The best example of bad graphs is USA Today. They love to, oh, here's a good one. I like this one. This is a good USA Today graph. Common injuries children suffer, okay? Don't ever do anything like that. Now, luckily for us, Excel, you can't be that artistic, okay? But just use 2D. Make sure they're properly labeled. Make sure they're not distorted. You know, like this. You can see this graph here. You want to emphasize, oh, look at this sharp increase. But it doesn't look nearly so sharp as when you put the minimum back to 0. Okay? Let's see here. I actually got done a little faster. It was funny, yesterday I was short, today I was long. Just for fun, I would like to make sure you guys are really good at histograms. This is one of the things that takes a long time on the test. Who did not do their homework on the computer last night? Okay? You guys should, because what's going to happen next week when we do the test, you're going to run out of time because you haven't practiced. Okay? So make sure that you practice. Now, let me ask you this. Let's take this data here, the continuous histogram. Let's make a histogram out of it. Okay? So, we're a little early today, but we've got about 8 minutes left here. Who is rusty on this and wants to do really well on the exam and would like to volunteer? Come on up. What's your name? Brandon. Brandon. All right. Okay, so you're all going to help Brandon to create this awesome histogram. Erase the board. So go ahead. Yeah, you can use that computer. So, what should he do first? You can tell me too if you know. What do you think, Brandon? What should you do first?
Select all the data.
Okay, well, you probably should have it all in a single column, right? Remember how to put it all in a single column? Okay, highlight your data just like you did. If you go to an edge, well, there's 2 ways to do it. If you go to an edge, you can click and drag it just like you're doing. Or do you guys remember the keystroke commands? Control X for cut. Control V for paste. Okay? All right, now what should he do? Sort it. Sort it. Do you remember how to sort it?
Select it all.
Okay, you can just select, yeah, you can select your data. Okay, go to data. And then you've got this sort, since you only have one column, you can click A to Z or Z to A, but A to Z is probably good enough. Or you can click that sort thing and it'll do it, okay? All right, so look at your data. So we go from about 10% to, what's the highest number? Almost 24%, okay? So if you want 5 to 7 categories, what should your categories be? Ten to 24 is about 14, right? So 10 to 12, or 10 and 11, we'll say. 12 and 13, 10, 11, 12 and 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. That's 8 categories. That's okay. You could probably do that. So do you want to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. So create your groups. Now, by the way, notice these are what kind of data are these? It's a good review from chapter 1.
We go to here. Groups.
Let me ask that question again. What kind of data is listed here?
Number.
Is it continuous or discrete?
Continuous.
Continuous, okay? So when I said 10 and 11, but do I want to stop at 11? Probably go to 11.99, let's say. So create some groups, go away from there, just somewhere else in free space. So create some groups. So this is just type in groups.
Oh, I got you. Top.
Okay, so we're going to go 10 to 11.99.
First one.
Well, yeah, put that on the next line.
Oh, that's right.
And then 12 to 13.99 on the next line. Oh, he's going across. I usually go down, but that's okay. You can do it that way. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. And then keep going till you get all the way to the top.
14. Are we doing 15.99?
Good practice. You know, this is a lot of, like I said, a lot of people don't practice enough on the computer and then they run out of time. Okay, and that's probably pretty good. Now, how do you count without counting? Remember? Yeah, highlight the 10s and the 11s. And then right there says you've got 6. So you can put your frequency on the next line. So he's creating a frequency distribution. That's good. We don't care about spelling. As long as I can tell what it says. Okay, so go to the next one and then you can put a 6. Yes.
Sorry, mine was loaded from this. How did you make them so they were smallest to biggest? Because I have them all in the row.
Okay, so something happened here. I don't know what happened there. Now, by the way, I don't know what happened, but he's got a 13.5 plus A26, MA26. So I would Control Z that. There we go. Now you got a highlighter, go to data. And then you can sort A to Z, or you can do that too. Okay? All right. Now, so do the same thing for all of your categories. So count your 12s and your 13s. And 14 of those. Isn't it nice that Excel counts better than you do? Okay. Okay, let me ask you something. So since he's got a 0 in the 20 to the 21.99, can he eliminate that group? No. Okay, has to keep it there. Okay? All right. Now, before you create your histogram, this is a test question. What would I ask you to do next?
I'm gonna make a little line chart for line crafting.
A line? No, we don't want to do a line graph with this. We want to make a histogram. But what if I asked you to create a relative frequency table? Or better yet, let's create a relative frequency histogram. I like that. We're going to learn a little trick today. So I want you to create a relative frequency histogram, which means you have to create a relative frequency table. How do you do that?
6 by 10 points.
Okay, you need to find your total. So go ahead and column M there and put total there. Give yourself always put a gap. You'll find that you'll make fewer mistakes if you put a gap there. Total, what's the quick and easy way to get the total? No,
Yeah.
even better, go to column M here. Go back to home. Click your auto sum button, okay? Little tricks like that are gonna save you, okay? Then you can press enter. Okay, so we've got 40 mutual funds here. Okay, how do we create the relative frequency table? Create another line that says rel freq below the frequency. Okay, and then we're going to do the 6 divided by 40, right? How do we do that? So go down one line. There you go. Equals. Start with equals. Click on the 6. Slash. Click on the 40, press F4. Now it's an absolute reference. Okay, press enter. Now copy and paste that to the next rest of those cells.
Oh,
I know we're out of time, so we're going to turn a little copy. Or you can do that. No, you don't need to paste. Okay? All right, so here's what we're going to do. I want you to highlight that first row, the groups, the word groups, all the way to the right. No, not, yeah, right there. Then hold the control key down, highlight the third row, relative frequency. Okay, that's how you're gonna, so the control key, that's how you can do that. Now insert, click a bar graph. Right there. Okay, click it, 2D. Now, what? Oh, that did work that time. I guess I just had to press hard. Needs to add some titles. Click the green plus. Access titles. What is this down here?
relative frequency. Oh,
Yeah, rate of return. So change. Oh, this one over there is not rate of return. That's number of funds, right? Or percent. That's percent. That's not number. That's percent. Percent of funds. This one is interest rate or rate of return. I'm going to give it a title of 40 mutual funds. How do you make the bars touch?
quick layout.
Quick layout.
Uh-oh.
Chart title. You want to put the chart title in now. I took it out by accident. Okay. 40 mutual funds. Perfect. Okay, and then quick layout.
Where's that?
Put a little home.
Oh.
There you go. Grab the middle third row. Right there. Okay? So make sure you're practicing this because next week you've only got 50 minutes. And if I give you 5 problems, you need to do them quickly. Okay? All right. So quiz tomorrow will be 2.3 and 2.4. See y'all tomorrow. Thanks, Brandon.